All right, guys, it is your boy, Hollywood Steve, back with another episode of the Hollywood Steve Wrestling Podcast right here on the YouTube. Make sure you guys, before anything, make sure you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right, today's episode, I am going to talk about NXT. And we are going to review what went down this past Tuesday on NXT. So let's kick this video off, shall we? Alright, so as you guys know, we are on the road to No Mercy coming up on coming up here this month. So we had we had Joe Hendry battled Wesley and Pete Dunne for an opportunity to challenge All Ego Ethan Page for the NXT Championship. Then we had in a Gauntlet Eliminator, Sol Roca, Jada Parker, Carmen Petrovich, Ren Sinclair, Kendall Gray, Adriana Rizzo, and Adriana Rizzo all fought for the crown to be the number one contender for Roxanne Perez's NXT Championship. Lola Vice faced her toughest challenge since the Prodigy in a battle with Wendy Chu, who had her eyes on Kalani Jordan, the Women's North American Champion. Chase U held a celebration for their new NXT Tag Team Championships. Andre Chase and Ridge Holland and Hank Walker and Tank Ledger faced a monster of a challenge in Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. And this was the night to watch shaping the future of the youngest brand in WWE. Yes, that is right. NXT. And this is the review from Bleacher Report. So starting right off the bat, Nathan Frazier and Axiom interrupted Chase U's celebration to challenge Andre Chase and Ridge Holland to an NXT Championship rematch. Duke Hudson and Riley Osborne, instead challenged them to a clash there and there to earn that rematch. After a competitive contest, Frazier hit Osborne with a suplex into a brainbuster / superkick combination with Axiom to win. While the Supersonic duo always deliver, Osborne was the surprise standout here, upping his game with the competition. He stood toe-to-toe with the best high flyers in NXT. While it is difficult to stand out as a speedster in this era, he does seem to be putting it all together in recent months. It was an exciting contest that served an unofficial number one contender opportunity, showing Frazier and Axiom are unstoppable when on the same wavelength. And then we got a rematch between the champions and former champions. So a rematch between the former champions and current champions is an easy win for No Mercy on September 1st. Though NXT did tease an intriguing contest for the future with an all Chase U bout for the gold. Ooh, so that's interesting. So the result. It was Axiom and Frazier defeating Hudson and Osborne via pinfall to potentially earn a tag team championship opportunity at No Mercy. Some notable moments. Holland cut a passionate promo about his journey, possibly his best promo ever. Frazier and Axiom, though the rematch would be later, instead Hudson and Osborne ripped off their pants, reveal wrestling gear. Oh, that's okay. That's kind of good. So just some highlights from the match. Holland caught Frazier in a wheelbarrow position to catch to set up a somersault cutter from Osborne. Axiom broke up the near fall, and then we got Lola Vice and Wendy Choo were in an even struggle until Kalani Jordan arrived to get her women's North American Championship back. Vice accidentally knocked out Lonnie with a spinning back fist. With the referee distracted, Choo blasted Vice with the championship inside the pillowcase to win. Wow. So we're getting a different Wendy Choo here, and we have not seen Wendy Choo on TV for a really long time, guys. I can't remember the last time that we saw Wendy Choo actually on NXT, and I don't know how I feel about this new look Wendy Choo. I mean, she's obviously I think she's going to end up challenging Kalani Jordan for the NXT Women's North American Championship at No Mercy, but I'm still kind of figuring out this new Wendy Choo. I don't know what this new Wendy Choo character is supposed to be. I'm kind of confused as to what she is, what her character is, what she's supposed to be. I'm just a little confused on it, as to what her character is supposed to be and what her character motivation is here. So I'm kind of trying to have to figure that one out. I'm kind of at a not at a loss, but I'm a little confused as to what Wendy Choo is supposed to be here, what her character is. So, getting back to the review, so after Jordan offered Choo a title match at No Mercy, okay, so there we go, we're getting the title match between Wendy Choo and Kalani Jordan at No Mercy, before knocking her down to take back her gold. And this match was balanced between sloppy and scrappy throughout its runtime. Choo and Vice did not have clean chemistry, but they battled to make the most of their time. So again, Wendy Choo is kind of a sloppy. She's good. She's got good moves, but I think she's kind of a sloppy wrestler in a way. She doesn't wrestle clean, and I think that can either that can be to her detriment, because if she doesn't wrestle clean, if she's not a clean wrestler, that kind of raises some concern in me, because we had there, if you remember there for a while, we had Nia Jax, who didn't quite wrestle very clean, and who was kind of dangerous in the ring because of her because of her sloppy wrestling and not wrestling clean. So I think this is something that we have to just kind of this is something that we're kind of just going to have to kind of watch and see how Wendy Choo improves, and hopefully she gets better. So I guess this match got over 10 minutes and ultimately landed in the solid category, especially showing that Choo could hang in with Lola Vice. The finish was kind of ridiculous, but it protected Lola Vice pretty well with that finish. Jordan and Choo will be an interesting matchup, as it will be the biggest test for the champion and challenger and her challenger's latest gimmick. This could be a career-defining bout, though the two need to bring more to the story next week. Yeah, I think so. I agree. There definitely needs to be more to the story, instead of just kind of throwing, like Wendy Chu just kind of all of a sudden showing up and kind of throwing the match together. It just kind of seems like that's what happened. It just kind of seems like the match just kind of got thrown together, and there's really no backstory, honestly, like between Kalani Jordan and Wendy Chu. There's not really a backstory. There's not really anything that led up to this match. So I don't know what what the motivation is for this match. I don't know the story. I don't know what the storyline is, but I get, yeah. Anyway, Wendy Chu defeated Lola Vice via pinfall. And here's some notable moments. Jordan was shown searching for her North American Championship in the trainer's room. Vice took over with a series of spinning kicks, followed by a series of low front kicks to set up the running hip attack for a near fall. Fallon Henley and JC Jane cut a strong pre-taped promo alongside Jasmine Nix to introduce their new faction, the Fatal Influence. Now again, faction heavy. We're starting to see this with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. We're getting faction heavy here. We've got 3 factions now in NXT. Chase U, Fatal Influence, and obviously the family. So there's 3 factions there, and obviously up on the main roster you've got Legado del Fantasma, you've got the Judgment Day, and you've got American Made. So you've got 3 factions. I mean, I guess it's not faction heavy, but you've got 3 factions there, and Triple H and Shawn Michaels both like their factions, which is fine. So, I mean, it's cool. It would be interesting to see what they do, how Fatal Influence is used in the women's division. It'll be really interesting just to see how they use them, how they, just how they use them in general. I mean, how they treat them, how their matches go. If any of them are gonna be legitimate challengers for Roxanne Perez's Women's Championship or Kalani Jordan's Women's North American Championship. We'll have to see how that goes. Next, we got the first match and the number 1 contender gauntlet eliminator. Ren Sinclair and Sol Roca opened the match, followed by Adriana Rizzo at number 3. Roca took out Rizzo with a spin out power bomb for the first elimination. Brinley Reese got the 4th spot, followed by Kendall Gray at 5. Gray hit a spinning power slam on Reese to eliminate her, leaving Jada Parker as the last woman in. Parker eliminated Gray with a corner hip slam and standing gore buster. Roca took out Sinclair with a soul snatcher. Finally, Parker connected with the hypnotic on Roca to take the win. So, Jada Parker is your number 1 contender for Roxanne Perez's North Women's Championship. And just continuing on here, NXT Bleacher Report goes on to say NXT played a dangerous game, putting this many inexperienced women in a complicated match type, and it did not at all pay off. Everyone worked hard, but not everyone was ready to be in this spot, and I think so. There's so much young talent in NXT right now. There's so much raw talent in the women's division and in the men's division that I understand. I understand wanting to put these women in this spot, and having them be be in the spotlight, but if they're not ready, don't put them there. And I think we kind of saw that, they weren't quite ready for the spotlight. But, and, just going on here, as Bleacher Report says, Grace stood out poorly as she struggled to hit her obviously choreographed spots. On the other hand, Roca and Sinclair were the workhorses of the match for a reason, keeping everyone on time as they could. It was odd to take Carmen Petrovich out at the start of the night, replacing her with Reese. Reese was fine in the match, but that spot could have gone to a more interesting wildcard option. Yeah, which, like I said, there is so much young, raw talent in the women's division that I think WWE, NXT in particular, Shawn Michaels has to be careful where he puts them, what match types he puts them in. I understand wanting to, like I said, I understand wanting to elevate them. I understand wanting to get them, elevated, but you just have to be careful. So, as we said here, as I said here, Parker won the gauntlet to earn the gauntlet eliminator match to win an NXT Women's Championship championship match at No Mercy. And some notable moments. The show started with Izzy Dame attacking Petrovich, who could not be cleared for the Gauntlet Eliminator. NXT General Manager Ava announced Reese would take the spot instead. Grace celebrated the opportunity with Reese in the locker room, but promised to fight hard later. And then Perez watched all the action from backstage. Parker cut a promo afterward promising that she was the difference maker. Then we got Tank Ledger and Hank Walker going up against the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Oh my gosh. Carl Anderson. Tank Ledger cleared Luke Gallows out of the ring and then hit a running power slam avalanche combination with Hank Walker to pick up a huge win. This was genuinely a genuinely shocking result, but in a good way. Hank and Tank have been grinding for the past year, which is true. They have. They've actually been really grinding hard, really putting their nose to the grindstone and just really grinding really hard on NXT and grinding for opportunities. And so they've been grinding for the past year, working hard with good opponents, but unfortunately they've been taking the fall. And this match felt like a level up moment. They won clear over a veteran tag team, setting the group up in as rising acts that may finally start going for gold. I like this because I like Hank and Tank. They are a good tag team. I think they work good together. I like their passion. I love their passion for the business. They're a really good tag team. And the match was fairly ordinary, but the result raised this to the point of a genuinely important moment for the tag team division. Absolutely. So, and they won. Hank and Tank won by a pinfall. They beat the OC by a pinfall. And here's some notable moments from Bleacher Report. Booker T's call for the finish was, "That's it, which may have undercut the win just a bit. And then poor Vic Joseph got his hair musted up by a celebratory Hank and Tank, which was kind of funny. Security celebrated with Hank and Tank and stopped Gallows and Anderson from taking revenge. And because you guys know, Hank and Tank were former security guards for NXT, and they got an opportunity, and I think that's awesome. I think that is really, really awesome. And then we got a fight between Shawn Spears, Malachi Black, and Adrius and Nofe, which broke out backstage, and that ended with a tag team on top. The tag team on top of Brooks Jensen, checking on Spears. Then Ren Sinclair interrupted Charlie Dempsey's. And then we got Charlie Dempsey of No Quarter Catch Crew in a match here. So we got Red Sinclair interrupting Charlie Dempsey's speech multiple times, saying that the Heritage Cup champion would fight anyone. So now we have Red Sinclair, who is in the No Quarter Catch Crew, but now she's kind of overstepping her bounds just a bit. I know she's excited. I get her excitement. I get her passion. But I think she's kind of starting to overstep her bounds just a little bit. And you can see from the look on Charlie Dempsey's face that Ren Sinclair is kind of getting herself in a little bit of trouble here. She kind of is putting her foot in her mouth. And Obafemi arrives to the shock of the No Quarter Catch Crew, and then the family follows quickly after. Tony D'Angelo sent the rest of his crew after the No Quarter Catch Crew, after the NQCC, while he laid out Obafemi with a spine buster. Wow. And then short and sweet to the point. After weeks of teasing, NXT has wrapped around the biggest match possible for Femi. Right now, a battle with the Dawn. That is going to be a good match. If Tony D'Angelo, Tony D, has already laid out Obafemi with a spine buster, huh? Tony D already laid him out with the spine buster, huh? And I think that is absolutely wonderful. I love this. Love Obafemi going up against Tony D'Angelo, if you will. And obviously D'Angelo has serious credibility as the size to genuinely match the North American champion. Oh, absolutely. I would love to see D'Angelo with the NXT North American Championship run. I mean, put a title on the man. Put a title on Tony D. Tony D deserves his title. He had the NXT Heritage Cup Championship, but I want to see Tony D'Angelo with a belt. I want to see Tony D'Angelo with the North American Championship. I would absolutely love this. So the two should deliver big shots and push the two should deliver big shots and push the title holder to fight from underneath against one of NXT's main event acts. Oh, absolutely. I agree 100% with what Bleacher Report is saying here. And yes, and yeah, I'm going off of Bleacher Report's review because I didn't watch NXT on Tuesday, so I'm kind of going off of what Bleacher Report said, but I'm kind of giving you guys my own little twist on it and my thoughts. And then the NQCC got embarrassed a bit again, but I guess as long as Dempsey keeps the Heritage Cup, he's able to build his credibility in the ring. And so I think that's kind of what they're doing here is like building, allowing Charlie Dempsey to build his credibility, which I think is good. Which I think is good for him. because he's a great wrestler. He's a great mat technician. Great European wrestler, even though he's from American born. Obviously, as we know, he is the son of William Regal, who is one of the greatest European wrestlers of his time. And so for Charlie Dempsey to keep that Heritage Cup for a while and just to build his credibility, I think this is great. I really think this is great for him. And just a couple of key moments. Sinclair dropped off the Heritage Cup with Javon Evans backstage as she was running, and then Gallus gets confronted by the Gallus confronted the young OG, who got backup from Cedric Alexander. Now, let me say a little bit about Cedric. Cedric Alexander is kind of an interesting case here, because he kind of got lost in the shuffle. He kind of got lost. He just kind of got lost after the Hurt Business kind of split. After they just kind of did nothing with him and Shelton Benjamin after the Hurt Business kind of just disappeared. Cedric Alexander was kind of just floating around, floating around backstage, just not really doing anything. And I'm glad that he's gone to NXT, because I think he can he can get on TV, he can get utilized, he can get used, and he can get used better than he was being used up on the main roster, which was not a lot. Pretty much non-existent. He was pretty much non-existent on the main roster. And I think this is good for him. I think this is a good move for him to go back to NXT, and I think this is a good thing for him, because I think that he now will get utilized. The roster is big on NXT, but it's not as massive as the main roster. So I think Shelton Benjamin. I think that Cedric Alexander has the opportunity and the potential not to get lost in the shuffle, not to get lost in the background on NXT. So I think, he can be out there more. He can, be in more segments. He can be, just doing a lot more on NXT. And I think that's good, because he's a great wrestler. And then we got Ashante the Adonis against Dion Lennox, which is Dion Lennox is a newcomer to NXT. And so just kind of quick recap of the match. Ashante the Adonis needed to rake the eyes to send Lennox throat fist into the top rope, but he finally picked up a victory with the long kiss goodnight, which is his version of Sweet Chin Music. While Adonis had been entertaining in backstage segments recently, this match felt completely superfluous. The former Hit Row star has never truly put it together as a single star, and it showed here. While Lennox is also an unfinished project, this could have been an opportunity to boost his profile. Instead, this amounted to giving Adonis a win that he struggled to capitalize on as part of the NXT loaded roster. So Adonis beats Lennox with the Long Kiss Goodnight, his version of the Sweet Chin Music. So Ashante the Adonis, he's interesting because since the split of Hit Row, since Top Dollar, aka AJ Francis, has gone on to do TNA, and all these other, and some of these other promotions, Memphis Championship Wrestling, and all these other indie shows, and booked himself on all these other indie shows in these other indie wrestling organizations. Ashante the Adonis has kind of gotten lost in the shuffle, and his wrestling skills are not that good. He really is not that good of a wrestler. He's got potential, but I just don't see the little bit that I've seen of Ashante the Adonis as a wrestler. I don't think he's really good. He's not that good. He definitely needs to improve his skill set. That is 1,000,000% sure. That is 1,000,000% true. He needs to improve on his skills. And I don't know however he needs to do that. But he really needs to improve on his skills. And I just, yeah, I mean, it just is, it's, he's, it's his, Don Juan mentality, Don Juan character, the charming guy backstage who's hitting on all the girls, who's the ladies' man, and I mean, if they're gonna do that, they really, really need to capitalize on that. Really need to capitalize on that. So yeah, I mean that kind of, and then just some key moments. Adonis tried to talk with 3 Performance Center women backstage before his match, but they wanted to talk to Lennox instead. Which, okay, yeah, okay. I'm not a fan of this. I'm just not a fan of Ashante the Adonis as this character. I don't understand what they're doing with him. And then Adonis was rolling until he slapped Lennox hard. This set off the 26-year-old who found his focus. And then we got Lexis King interrupting Lash Legend, and Jakara Jackson. But obviously they wanted nothing to do with him. They weren't interested. And then, yes, my friends, the match of the night. Yes. Wesley, Pete Dunne, and say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. Yes, Joe Hendry was back on NXT. Let's go. So this was all Joe Hendry, who should have had the pinfall after delivering a standing ovation to Pete Dunne, but all Ego Ethan Page took out the referee. Page then stopped a second official while Hendry hit another standing ovation. This distraction allowed Dunne to hit a bitter end, but Trick Williams caught him with a trick knee. Trick then woke up the original referee to count 3 behind All Ego's back. Afterwards, Zach Wentz jumps Lee from behind from the crowd, and officials could barely break them up. So they've got this rivalry now between Zach Wentz and Wesley. I'm absolutely loving this. I'm loving this, guys. I think this could be really, really good. Really good. And obviously two of the best wrestlers in WWE today let Henry show out in this match. And it was pretty spectacular to watch. The crowd was into every big move for the new number one contender. He looked like a rock star on a mission. Page versus Henry may not be the matchup between technical powerhouses, but the two have already showed they can sell a crowd on their every move. This was the right move, even if it was predictable. Dunn versus Trick needs to happen again, and as does Lee versus Wentz. Absolutely. However, Page versus Henry was the only option in this triple threat. So Henry defeated Dunn and Lee to pick up the pinfall to earn an NXT Championship match at No Mercy. Yes, guys. Let me make this clear. A TNA wrestler is now wrestling at a WWE PLE for a WWE Championship. Think about that. A TNA superstar in Joe Hendry is wrestling All Ego Ethan Page for his NXT Championship. What is that going to look like? What is going to happen if Joe Hendry wins? What is going to happen? Is Joe Hendry going to take it to TNA? Or is Joe Hendry going to stay on NXT? Because this is interesting, because the way Joe Hendry's contract is, the way his contract is structured, he's able to go between NXT and TNA. So this is really, really interesting. This could be a very, very interesting dynamic. This could be a very interesting set of circumstances, if you will, for NXT and for TNA if Joe Hendry wins. Does he go and defend the NXT Championship at a TNA pay-per-view against an NXT superstar? Does somebody from TNA go over to TNA and challenge Hendry to bring back the NXT Championship back to NXT? So this is interesting. This could be really, really good. Just some notable moments. Lee and Hendry were interviewed at the same time and later called out the former for talking about TNA. Dunn interrupted Page during an interview to lay claim to a title shot. All Ego Ethan Page joined commentary where he got along pretty well with Booker T. Lee and Dunn attacked Hardy before the bell, but could not get along once it rang. Hendry popped the crowd big when he lifted Lee head first into Dunn's crutch, and then took out both men outside with a leaping cannonball. Lee went for a handspring, but Dunn caught his hand, breaking the fingers. Henry wiped out Lee afterward with a standing ovation on the announce table. Outside of one dud match, NXT brought a strong in-ring show for the night. Nothing was rushed for the sake of filling in more action. Nothing ever fully landed. Nothing ever fully landed, though. The Gauntlet Eliminator was sloppy. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson put over Hank Walker and Tank Ledger, but a bit, but did not push them to a memorable match. On the other hand, Lola Vice and Wendy Chu took advantage of the extra time to work past some rough spots. The opener and the main event played out very well to maximize talent involved. The No Mercy build was on point throughout, including instantly elevating the excitement around Obafemi and Tony D'Angelo. So Bleacher Report goes on just to say, overall, this was a night when the action was more than the sum of its parts, and the right moves were made to sell a solid premium live event card. So here's where I stand. Here's my take on this. Okay, now I love NXT. I love the working relationship that NXT has with TNA. I want to see more TNA guys come over. I want to see more TNA guys come over to NXT and be part, and face some of these NXT superstars, some of these NXT wrestlers. I want to see the Josh Alexanders. I want to see Moose. I want to see Matt Cardona. I want to see PCO. I want to see, some of these other guys come over. Not just the Zach Wentz's and the Trey Miguel's and the Joe Hendrys and the Frankie Kazarians. I want to see some more of these guys. I want to see some more of these guys come over and take on some of these NXT guys, and vice versa. I want to see the jump. So hey guys, thanks for watching this video. Remember, this is Hollywood Steve. When you're Hollywood Steve, life is just too sweet.